Hello, welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Coffee Break Podcast. Today, we want to revisit a topic that we had in the past. We want to talk about shipping. Now, obviously, shipping is a very important topic for every merchant because you need to get your products to your customer. Now, with shipping, there is also a huge opportunity there to save money and to straighten your workflow and just to save time on the whole thing, and then also will save you money. So to dive a little bit deeper into the topic on how you can spend less time on shipping and save money there, I have Joe DiSorbo with me. He is the founder of Ship.com. He is a self-made tech entrepreneur, passionate about macroeconomics and empowering small businesses. He previously founded Webgistics Corporation and was acquired by Rakuten in 2013. He now focuses on Ship.com, a platform enabling small business to compete with larger online retailers. So let's find out what that is about. Hi, Joe. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Joe, you have a bit of a longer history already in when it comes to running businesses, when it comes to managing shipping and so on and so forth. What got you into this part of business?
Yeah, well, I've been in e-commerce for a long time. I was in 1998. I was back in Silicon Valley doing startups. And actually, prior to that, I actually lived in Korea and I was an operations manager for a U.S. multinational. And that company had a lot of distributors that were small business owners. And so I got a lot of experience dealing with small business owners. I got a lot of experience with logistics. I ran accounting, logistics, software, the whole operational side of the business. But I decided to be an entrepreneur. So I moved to Silicon Valley in 98 and I started various software companies. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. And then I decided that the one thing that e-commerce needed, and this is way back, I mean, this is when Jeff Bezos was selling books and PayPal was just down the street from my house, just starting out. I'm sure you remember back in the glory days of Silicon Valley in 1998. Well, it went on. I started a company called Student Planet, which I sold. And then I got into e-commerce logistics through the company I started called Webgistics. And I could see that, e-commerce was growing rapidly back then. And part of the issue was getting the product to the customer. And so I thought it'd be a great business to go into. And so I started Webgistics in 2001. I subsequently moved to Singapore and ran it from Asia for 10 years. And we primarily located in the United States. And it started out as a software company, but then we started growing and we realized that traditional logistics just couldn't handle what e-commerce did. And primarily, you had to ship the packages quickly and accurately. And we actually outsourced our fulfillment. Originally, we were just a software company facilitating transactions. So we would integrate into platforms and we would consolidate, shipments and then help people with their logistics. And we had a company that would ship them out. And one day we had a bunch of orders and I called this person in New Jersey who was running the warehouse, this old crusty warehouse manager. And I said, hey, we have like 100 orders. You need to ship them today. And he was like, son, let me tell you how logistics works. We'll get to it when we get to it. Right. And so I said, you don't understand how e-commerce works. We need to ship this today. And so that led us to start opening our own warehouses. Obviously we couldn't outsource to the old school logistics guys. So we started opening warehouses and we grew and grew. And we had one in Western New York. We ended up in Vegas and Scranton, Pennsylvania and Austin. And we ended up with a lot of e-commerce warehouses. And a lot of companies, and partly what we're doing is we're trying to help small and medium-sized e-commerce businesses compete with Amazon because Amazon was rolling out the 2-day delivery model back then, and companies could not compete with that. So we devised a software solution plus a logistics solution that would allow these companies to ship 2 days, basically anywhere in the United States ground, if they put their warehouses in the right, or put their inventory in the right warehouse in the right locations. And so that went along pretty well, and the company got fairly large, and we exited in, as you said, in 2013 to Rakuten in Japan. And I exited the company in 2016, and then, but I had a huge love for the small business owners, and as Webgistics grew, we started focusing on the larger companies because the smaller companies were hard to do business with. It's startups. They have a lot. You know how to start a company. It's very difficult when you have a small business. And we were generating about 5,000 leads a year, primarily through Google AdWords and other online advertising, but only 500 of those met the model of outsourced logistics. The other 4,500-ish leads we had to discard because we couldn't really service these small businesses. So I saw this huge market of companies that needed our service, but they needed to do it themselves. But they need the software to facilitate that transaction. And so in 2016, I exited. A few years later, I took some time off. It was, starting a company, running it and selling it is a taxing endeavor. And then a couple of years later, 18, 19, I started ship.com with the goal of helping these small businesses with their logistics, because they're really shipping it themselves. And, we need to figure out a way to save them time, save them money, and make it easy for them to do business. And we've grown quite a bit. And we actually have a lot of Shopify customers that use our service. And so it's just a great thing to be able to help these small businesses, save time, save money, and achieve their dreams. Really what we're doing is trying to help these people achieve their dreams.
So we have two digital dinosaurs today on the show. I'm doing online stuff also like the mid-90s, so for ages. Probably the two of us are older than most of the listeners here. So when it comes, an amazing story there, the way that you're making, you're still focusing on small and on medium businesses to help them. Obviously, Shopify and other platforms in the last couple of years made it very easy for merchants to go online, to open their online stores. And now, as you said, shipping the most important part there. When it comes to the shipping, what are the most common challenges, mistakes, errors that you see that merchants do when it comes to do it proper?
I think when they start out, they don't realize, what it takes to actually fulfill orders. And so they're using the wrong materials, they're paying too high prices for shipping, and they spend too much time on data entry, tracking, and those kind of things that make it hard to run a business. Because if you're running a small business, think about the demands on, just say, an e-commerce retailer selling clothing. They have to source the clothing, they have to, receive it, they have to take the pictures, put it up, they have to market it, they got to drive traffic to their site, credit card payments, they got to manage cash, all these things. And then the last thing after they actually finally make a sale is they have to ship it. And so then they get to that point and they're like, well, what am I going to do? And a lot of them, they start out small, obviously, and they probably use recycled boxes from Amazon, and they put the thing in there and they can't figure out how to, ship it. And they take it to the post office, or they take it, to UPS store, and it's taking them a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. As they get bigger, a little bigger, they say, man, I can't keep doing this because I really need to focus on my sales and marketing and driving traffic. And so we come in and we show them, hey, it's all, you can integrate a solution with Shopify, and all this data will flow into a system where you can just, do 3 clicks and basically ship a package, and they can even come to your house and pick it up. And so they run into these challenges of, it's an exciting endeavor, and all the work up front finally flows down into shipping, and then they have to become a shipping expert on top of it. And I think that, it's the kind of part of the business that people probably don't consider and don't want to deal with when they're very small. As they get bigger, obviously, if you're in e-commerce, you have to ship packages. And so that's another reason I like being in this part of the business, because it's required by these businesses, and so it really can help them.
Mm-hmm. A lot of merchants obviously then become very overwhelmed by the pure amount of different shipping options that are out there. If you're looking in UPS and all the others, they have like a ton of different variations just to get the product to your customer. And I understand that your solution helps with that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've partnered in the US with UPS and US Postal Service. And, when you put in the information, it could go 2 ways: flat rate shipping, which is very easy, where you have a flat rate shipping box. And so if you're using that method and you're using our system, it'll just come up automatically. It'll know, because there's no weight considerations or dimensions. And so those are straightforward. But you're right. If you're comparing like priority mail in the US versus US Postal, or US Postal versus UPS, there's a lot of options. Now, most people will ship the cheapest option. Sometimes the customer wants it overnight. And so we've sorted our data, and we're monitoring the data in your account to make sure that we're presenting you with the best low-cost shipping options available. And so it speeds up the time, and it makes it easier for you to choose. And we also have a lot of information on our site that helps people make those decisions as well.
Mm-hmm. You said packing obviously is one part. You said they're using the wrong packing, the wrong standard sizes, and all of that. Give me some tips on how people can spend less time on shipping, just to straighten the process, to make it easier to fulfill the order.
Yeah, well, you definitely, if you're using Shopify, you should be using a shipping solution such as ours or another one that brings your data directly into the shipping system. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have to double data entry everything. So you take it from Shopify and you print out an order, you pick it, you pack it, Then you have to enter the data into, say, the UPS system or the US Postal Service system. That's very time consuming. There's a potential for errors. You don't necessarily get the data in correctly, and it takes a lot of time to do that individually. If you're using a system such as ours or another similar solution, the data, all the shipping data shows up in there, all the order data shows up in there, ready for you to ship. So that saves you. That's the first, for a small business owner, that's the first step to saving a lot of time. The other things are, the system will send out tracking information. You can monitor the shipments. Our system specifically has an email communication tool that allows you to communicate with the customer during the shipment. So you really don't have to have multiple platforms to do all these different tasks. You really only need Shopify plus a shipping platform now, and you don't have to go back and forth. In addition to that, the platforms such as ours send this tracking data and the shipment data back into Shopify. And so once it's shipped, you can see that data back in the Shopify system. And so it's really easy to manage the business when you have a shipping solution versus not. So I think that, and plus with materials specifically, I think people don't understand that the more it weighs and the bigger the box, the higher the cost, right? And so it's incumbent upon the shipper to try to keep those costs down. And so you can screw around with our tool that shows you estimated shipping costs to see what the differences are based on what kind of materials you use. And so as you become a more mature business, I think you figure these things out. But when you're just starting out, like, you might use the wrong size boxes, you might put too much packing material in the box, and we see that a lot. We say, how can you cut your shipping costs? We say, well, what kind of materials are you using? And then we drill down on that. And if we can figure out, what they're using versus, what the optimal is, then we can save them some money there too.
Makes perfect sense. Now, our merchant is happy to get it out of the door, getting it to the customer, and then it gets stolen. That's unfortunately something that happens quite often. Give me a couple of tips there. What's the best way to ensure the package? What's the process? What can you do to make that not happen?
Yeah, I think with the US Postal Service, it's a little difficult, but with UPS, it's quite easy. So in US Postal, it gets stolen. I mean, you can file a claim, and we help our customers file these claims and get it returned. With UPS, it's much simpler. You have insurance up to $100, I believe, included, and we personally insure the USPS packages for the customer, up to I think $100 as well. And we reimburse them if something happens, it gets damaged, stolen. And I don't think many companies do that, actually. So I think that's an advantage for us, that we not only file the claims and help them recover the money, but we also ensure the package is going to get there. Dealing with them, if you don't have a provider such as ours, and you have to deal with UPS and US Postal directly, it can be another huge time consumer, right? And it's frustrating. It's a little frustrating for us, but we do it so much, we're good at it. So that's a skill I don't think many small business owners, medium-sized e-commerce businesses really want to have to acquire when they can use a company like ours to do it for them. So I think insurance is a big thing, but we don't really see that many lost packages or stolen packages, and we're shipping millions of packages a year through our system. And I have to say, it's quite low. It's quite low. I mean, around the holidays, it goes up. As people know that people are buying more online and they're looking out for it, but that'd be Christmas mostly. But basically, it's actually quite low.
Okay. Now you're competing with like Amazon with overnight shipping and Amazon Prime when you're a small merchant. Obviously, you want to get your package as quick as possible to your customer. What are the best examples on how to make that work so that it's still profitable for the merchant?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think Amazon has built a great system, and it's hard for small businesses to compete with delivery times. The delivery time basically depends on where the package starts, right? In the United States. So if you're in Florida, it's going to take a long time to get to California. If you're in Dallas, it's pretty equidistant to the rest of the country. The best you can hope for, close people will get it in a day. One of the reasons we initially had warehouses on the West Coast and the East Coast was to make it all 2 days. But most companies don't have the luxury of having multiple warehouses. And so the delivery time is dependent on your location, and it's anywhere from 2 to 5 days. And I think people are pretty okay with that at this point. Now, Amazon's even moving away from the 2-day delivery model slowly, but the Prime, even where I am, I don't actually get everything in 2 days anymore with Prime. So they're seeing the cost is really high. And so, I mean, I would just encourage people to, to use the lowest cost method, whether that's first class mail, priority mail, or UPS ground. If the customer really wants it, you have to charge them for overnight shipping, which is fine. It's easy, but it's quite costly.
No, that makes sense. Now, you built up ship.com, obviously, with the experience that you got all in this 25 years of being online and doing other businesses. And I understand ship.com does not only do the orders, the sending out, there's other features that you offer. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so for small, obviously we do the shipping, which is, we focus a lot on that because we want it to minimize the number of clicks it takes to ship. So if you're integrated with Shopify, you can ship an order in 3 clicks, which is really easy. But we also built some other tools for the customer. We have a loyalty tool. These are simple tools for small business. So we have a loyalty tool. You can track your customers' purchases, and you can give them rewards based on their purchases and when they purchase. And so we have a loyalty system built in, and we also have an email communication tool that allows you to send, I would say, basic emails. You can set up a system where you can communicate with the customer with like basic marketing emails. And I see that I watched some of your videos on loyalty and also email marketing. So I encourage everybody to go watch those, because those are very good videos on it. Our system is for simple small business. As businesses get larger, they want more sophisticated tools. But this really helps these small businesses stay on one platform again. They don't have to go to other platforms and pay another fee every month to get these services. They can just try it out, and it will serve them well until their business grows. And as their business gets bigger, I don't know exactly where that would be for each company, but at some point they might want to get a more sophisticated solution. But it certainly helps them get started with shipping and loyalty and email marketing.
Okay. Find out more about, or before we start finding out more about the pricing, what are the cost savings that you can achieve with your app?
Yeah, on UPS, it's fairly large. So it depends on where it's going, what it weighs, and all these different things. But off of going to the UPS store, it's like 80% discount. I think it's 84 is the maximum. Some of it's 20, 30, 40, depends on the type of service, depends on where it's going, but it's significantly lower than you're ever going to get trying to do it on your own, even negotiating with UPS directly. We are one of a select few companies in the United States that's part of the UPS Digital Access Program that guarantees us the lowest rates. And we are not allowed to mark those rates up. We have to pass those rates along at what UPS sets, and they've set them quite low. And there's not that many companies that have that. And then on the U.S. Postal Service side, we also they're setting the price, but we're buying the postage at commercial plus pricing, and the average consumer, a small business, isn't going to get that. As you get larger, you may be able to do that, but then you have to manage the relationships with UPS. You have to manage relationships with Postal Service, and that's more time. That takes you more time. So with us, you can save significantly, on the shipping cost, and I'd be hard pressed to say you're going to find it cheaper anywhere else.
I mean, this is a huge benefit for a merchant, as I said. It's a huge benefit. You're saving a ton of money on the shipping, and then with your app, as you said, it's only 3 clicks, and you're done with it. The label gets printed out, and somebody comes and fetches, and the order goes out of the door. What's your pricing structure? How do you charge the merchant?
Yeah, so we have 3 pricing tiers. We have a starter tier, a growth tier, an executive tier. It's $0, $19, and $29 a month. And you get different levels of service. It's differentiated on service level. It's differentiated on volume, and it's not really differentiated on price, but a tiny bit depending on which tier and where you're shipping it. And then there's other things. At executive, you would get access to the loyalty software. You would get access to the email marketing software. At starter, you wouldn't. And so people can try it out. There's a free trial, and they can see if they like it. And basically we're like, again, in UPS, we're passing along the lowest possible rates to the consumer. And the monthly fees are quite modest, but these are the way that we have great service. I mean, we are the highest rated shipping platform in the United States. We have a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot, and I think the next one is like 4.5, 4.4. And so we really have great service, because we know small business owners, they need help. They need hand-holding. And so one thing we focused on is saving people time and providing great service.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the onboarding, and it's a Shopify app, that should be very straightforward, but there's any kind of homework or sign-up process when it comes to the onboarding?
Now, our app is in the Shopify App Store, and if you click on it, it'll take you through a straightforward sign-up process. It's pretty easy. I mean, if you go to our site and sign up, you don't need a credit card. You can just do a very basic sign up and off you go. If you actually want to buy something at the end, if you want to buy a label, obviously you have to put in your credit card information to pay for that. But yeah, we're in the Shopify App Store. You can go there, click on it. It takes you through I think it's maybe like a 3-step process, and it's quite easy. And then as soon as you do that, when you log into ship.com, it'll show all of your Shopify orders that are ready to ship.
Okay, so it's very
yeah. You don't really have to do anything. You just have to click on the app in the Shopify store, and then and basically it's all automated after that.
Okay, that sounds very convenient and straightforward. Cool. Joe, I think you have a great solution there. Should make the life of small and medium enterprises being on Shopify and other platforms much easier. And again, the cost savings are massive, which they otherwise would not achieve. So great solution. Thanks so much for your time today. I will put the links to your website and to the Shopify store in the show notes as always. I know you're just one click away.
All right. Thanks, Klaus. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, Klaus here. Before you go, I would like to invite you to become part of the e-commerce merchant pro community to get actionable advice from other Shopify merchants who already have achieved what you are aiming for. Our community is a safe place to actively grow your online retail business with the support of the most amazing and helpful group of e-commerce entrepreneurs behind you. Running a Shopify business is tough. Don't do it alone. Join us now. You will find the link in the show notes. Also, if you think your online store has conversion or marketing issues and you would like to have a fresh set of eyes on your business, then drop me an email at klaus@klauslauter.com and let me know a little bit about your business. It might be beneficial for you to have me look over your store, offers, emails, and ads and get an unbiased outside perspective and guidance to help you make most of your online business. Thank you as always for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Until next time, and I talk to you soon.